Welcome to the Worth Listening podcast, where we focus on having positive and productive conversations about money. Join your host, Lauren Williams, four-time Olympian turned financial planner, as her guests share their stories about how they manage money. We aim to help you own your personal money story and feel good talking about it. Lauren will teach you that money is a tool that can help you live the life you want. You should feel comfortable listening, sharing, and communicating about it. And now, here's your host, Lauren Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Worth Listening podcast. I'm your host, Lauren, and today you should get ready because we have a financial planner sharing not just her money memoir, but a wealth of financial knowledge. Yes, certified financial planner Rianka Dorsainvil is on the show to share her money memoir with us today. Rianka is the founder of Your Greatest Contribution, a financial planning firm that is dedicated to serving young entrepreneurs. Rianka shares with us how important education was to her and the pressure she felt being a first-generation college graduate. We talk about how she used the knowledge she gained from earning her certified financial planning education to help her family as well as herself and really improve her financial outlook. Let's listen to Rianka share her money memoir. Hello, good people. I am so excited to have one of my best buds in all of financial planning on the show today, Rianka Dorsainvil. Say hello.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you for having me on.
Guys, get ready. This is going to be a fun podcast. I can just tell you the two of us are like bad sisters when we get together. So
bad in a good way.
Yes, bad in a good way. All right. So tell people a little bit about you, Rianka. Where are you from? Give us a little bit of your upbringing and tell us about your first memory of money.
I am from Norfolk, Virginia. Shout out to 757. I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area now. And up here, they call people from D.C. Washingtonians. And so I joke and call my family Norfolktonians because they were born and raised and will probably always live their life in Norfolk. So I'm the only person in the family that is not in Norfolk. So yeah, born and raised in Norfolk, went to high school in Virginia Beach. And I can't remember my first memory of money as a kid. However, I do remember when I first started working. So I started working when I was 14 or 15. I needed a special worker's permit. And I was working at a pizza house for maybe like 3 months. I couldn't do it. But I remember when I received my first paycheck, I wrote my first check to my Nana. And for everyone who knows me and knows my personal story, they know my Nana, she's my heart. She's not with us here anymore, but she's my angel that's always with me. So that's my first memory of money. And it just felt so good to be able to give to her because she has given to me literally her entire life.
So it was a gift to her
when
you got this first check, or was it like, you owe me for...
No, it was a gift. It was a gift. My Nana, she always gave with no intent of receiving back, which was probably not good in the long run. After she passed away, we kind of figured out just some financial things. I'm just like, wow, I just wish we would have known this earlier. But when I first got my first check, opened up a checking and savings account. And then when I received my actual first checks with my name on it, I wrote her a check and I asked her to take it and go get her nails done.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. So that felt good to like, wow, I feel like an adult now. So yeah.
What age was that?
Like 15.
Got it.
Yeah. It felt good. It felt good.
And so tell us a little bit about your upbringing. What kind of environment? Were you from middle class family, upper class?
Broke if I broke. However, we never felt that way. And so in Norfolk, I grew up in the Ocean View area. And now it's so much different. Sometimes when I go back home, I'll just drive by there. And now they have really big beach homes. And I was just like, wow, this was not the place where I grew up. And I think we never needed for anything because Nana always had our back. My dad, he was in the Navy, so he was not physically with us. And my mom, again, being that Norfolktonian, she did not want to travel. So we just stayed in Norfolk. So we never wanted for anything, but we always had a resource. So there was a church that was down the street that had a food pantry. And so some days we would go there to get some bread or some non-perishable items like peanut butter and canned goods. And to me, that felt normal. Like I had nothing else to gauge as if this was not normal to go to a church and walk out with a bag of groceries. So it felt normal to me. And then when I started hanging out with some kids, we had government assistance. So we had food stamps. And this was back in the day before they had EBT cards where you can kind of disguise.
Right. Before they got fancy. So people didn't have to like really know.
Yeah. I went to the store with some friends and they were laughing. I'm like, well, what are you guys laughing about? And it was like, you got food stamps. I was like, so again, that was the first time I knew something was different. So I guess going back to your first question, my first memory of money was probably that then. Having that paper food stamps, the dollars were brown, the $5 were green. I still remember it. That colorful money. It felt like Monopoly money.
Right, that colorful money. I think you bring up a really good point, though, about the idea that looking back on it now, you know, you didn't have much, but you never felt that initially. And what it could really mean to someone who's on the other end listening right now to feel like they're struggling and they're barely getting by, trying to feed their children.
Yes.
And, you know, they're embarrassed about that situation. But what a child really needs is love. They need a roof over their head. They need food in their body. And that being provided is those basic needs are being met. And so if a child's not necessarily going to be impacted by the lack of resources around them if they have these three major needs met, which is, like I said, the roof over your head, the food in your mouth, and then also just like, you know, that love.
Clothes on your back.
But when it starts to come into play, is like you said, you started to feel like you were being compared by others or being judged by others. And you start to compare yourself to what they had and what were some differences. But if on the other end of that, those kids are not being taught that, then everybody can grow up with different financial circumstances, but all feeling that they're the same. So
right.
I think that's just a really good point to point out of that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about other things that happened in childhood. Was there a piggy bank, an allowance? Did you get a car right when you turned 16? You said you were working when you were 15.
Right. Oh, goodness. So going back to money and knowing that money was a thing. So I've always felt like there was something greater for me personally, no matter the environment I was in or the circumstances. Like my childhood was pretty rough, just the various things that were happening around me. And to compare me to some of my peers who may still be in Norfolk or just may have passed away. And here I am just in my 30s and they're no longer here with us. So I've always felt like there was just something greater, again, no matter the circumstances. So I've always knew that if I was going to make it, education was going to be the key for me, because you can take away everything, but you can't take away the knowledge that I have in my mind. And so I've always put my education before anything, which goes back to my first job, which I'll get there in a second. So having A's and B's was something that was very important to me. And so I've probably made either all A's or A's and a couple of B's. And I had an uncle who would always say, Rianka, you make some A's, I'll give you $20 per A. And if you make a B, I'll give you $15 per B. And if you make C's, you don't get any money. So it's funny, every quarter that would come around, I would show him my report card. And he was like, yeah, go ahead, Riri. I ain't got it right now, but I got you. I got you when I got it. As what is hilarious about this is that if I would have saved the money that my uncle would have owed me from the 5th grade up until high school, I could probably have a nice lump sum of money right now with that compounding interest, as you know, with us being financial planners here. That was one thing. And then going back to education being the key to unlock anything, really. So I remember my first job, again, I was working at a pizza place, and I remember I had a chemistry test coming up. I was in the 10th grade. I had a chemistry test coming up, and the owner said that I couldn't leave early. I had to wait, and I had my books with me, and during break, or if we didn't have any customers in the restaurant, I would just open it up. Again, education, that's a big thing to me. And he said I couldn't study. I'm like, I can't study. Okay. All right. During my unpaid breaks, you're telling me I can't study. Okay. And so it was one night where I was just, hey, I need to leave early. It was 10 o'clock at night. And mind you, for a high schooler. And it was 10 o'clock at night. And I was, hey, I need to leave. I need to finish studying for this exam I have tomorrow. And he was, no, you can't leave until X, Y, and Z gets done. I was like, I hear you, I understand, but I'm leaving because I need to study for this exam. And he was like, well, if you leave, don't come back.
Hey.
I was like, where's my book bag?
Get my stuff. Hurry up.
I got my stuff, Lauren, and I walked right out of that door. And the only time I walked back in was to get my last check. And that was that. And right then and there, I just knew that money is definitely important. However, your education, if you have that foundation of education, money will come. Because with that knowledge that you have, you can apply it to anything. So needless to say, I passed that exam. I probably got an A on it, but that was the thing from early on. I can't remember what it was, but back in Norfolk, living in that duplex, I was like, there's something greater out there for me. There's something greater. And I always had perfect attendance. When I would miss the bus, our neighbors would take us to school. I mean, education is just huge. And education to me correlates with finances, just looking back on it. So yeah, education.
Yeah, I think education has a huge impact on finances. We have plenty of statistics that back up the fact that a college degree is worth X more dollars in the workforce versus a high school degree. Graduate degree gets you this much more money, et cetera, et cetera. But another thing we're bumping into nowadays is this idea of student loans, and education is the key, but it also costs you some money.
Absolutely. But you have to be very smart about education and taking out student loans and all of this, because I cannot not wear my financial planner hat right now. So just because, so say for instance, you go to college, and these are some of the conversations I'm having with some college graduates who have an undergraduate degree. They're like, well, I don't know what I want to do right now, so I'm gonna just go back to school. I was like, all right, is someone paying for that grad school education? They're like, no. I'm like, well, right now, that is a very expensive way to try to figure out life for the next couple of years. So you're going to incur at least $100,000 more of debt to figure out life. You are better off getting a part-time job, figuring out life. At least you can pay your bills and don't incur at least $100,000 more worth of student loan debt.
Amen. Hallelujah. Y'all gonna get all kinds of nuggets today. I try to keep my financial planner hat off because I'm the interviewer, not the interviewee, and try not to steal the show. But since we got a planner on today, y'all gonna get it all, get all the knowledge.
Get it all.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about your college experience and what that was like, trying to figure out where you wanted to go to school, what kind of conversations were had in the household about how it was gonna be paid for, and yeah, what options did you have?
How it's going to be paid for by me. It's kind of hard to tell your story without also sharing other people's story, especially like your parents. So I'm going to tread lightly with this one because I love both of my parents. And one day, if I decide to write a book, maybe this is what will go in there. What I'm not going to say, but what I will share is that college was on me. I'm a first generation college graduate. So, well, first of all, graduating from high school was a victory for my family. And then going to college, just being accepted and actually going to college was another victory. Little did they know it was 4 years of like, oh no, just because I got accepted and I'm going, the support doesn't stop there. So being the first generation college student, it was very difficult to try to explain to my family what I was going through. So my freshman year, I received quite a few scholarships. And as you know, with any type of college education, you have FAFSA. And so we filled out FAFSA, and this is a point in time when my dad came back into my life. And so his tax returns and all of that was applied to the FAFSA. So from a financial aid standpoint, I didn't get a lot. However, I think the only out-of-pocket expense he had that year was maybe like $1,000 because of how much scholarships I got for my freshman year. And then some things happened. Sophomore year, I'm on my own. And so I started taking out student loans. And it was also in my sophomore year that I found financial planning. So I went to school at Virginia Tech, go Hokies, and I needed an elective course. I went to school initially for math because I just loved math, and then took an elective course. I don't know if it was like financial planning 101. And in this class is when I learned about student loans, whether it was subsidized or unsubsidized interest, disability insurance, retirement planning, just all this stuff. And it would credit score, credit reports, how your credit score is derived. And my mind was just literally blowing up. I was like, whoa, okay. So I knew if I got student loans, I would have to pay them back, but I didn't know really how much student loans I was taking out. And so I got really friendly with the bursar's office and was, all right, what's up? My name's Rianka. Yep. I'm a student here. Yep. So how much student loans am I taking out? And what is the interest? And is this subsidized or unsubsidized? And the difference between the two is if it's subsidized, that means that the interest is deferred until you graduate college. So say, for instance, if you have a student loan that's at 6%, that 6%, and you take out $20,000 your freshman year, your loan will not incur any type of interest until you graduate. So that $20,000 will still be $20,000 after you graduate. And then you start paying back that loan. Unsubsidized means that 6%, you start incurring interest on that $20,000 the moment you take it out. So that $20,000 could turn into, I don't know, $25,000. I'm not calculating it right now, but it can turn into way much more. And so I think that was, especially when my peers and I started graduating, I think that was the whoa moment for them. But for me, I was first name basis with the bursar's office. So I was like, what's up? And so I knew what I was getting myself into. And I was very conscious around how much I was taking out. It was so funny because people were taking out student loans and it was just like, oh, I'm about to buy the new J's or I'm about to go shopping. Here I am. Honestly, it was some semesters at the end and I had a credit card. And so, I had to do what I had to do to survive while I was in college. Ended up paying it off when I graduated. But here I am going to Wendy's for the dollar menu, getting a 4-piece and some fries. And here they are going to one of the really nice restaurants in town. And I'm like, where y'all getting this money from? So going back to your original question, who paid for college? Rianka did.
I think that's the realest conversations about that student loan thing that we've had, because it gets so real when you said you get out of school and somebody's, hey, it's 6 months later, you need to start paying this back. And you like, start paying what? Wait, hold on. How much?
Yeah.
And they start you automatically on, like you said, that 10-year. Here's your 10-year scheduled payment. And you might be making some pennies at your first job. And then there's this reality check. And it's like,
right.
Why didn't anybody tell me this before? And so to go ahead and educate yourself on the front end, you were so lucky to have that personal finance class that kind of opened your eyes to it so that you could at least be aware. It's not saying that just because you're aware, you're going to be like, oh, I ain't going to college no more. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that, the other. But just having the mindset to know that it exists and that you need to plan accordingly can already put you leap years ahead of others.
Right. I say for me, my college education was an investment in me, and I'm actually receiving a return on my investment. And I know that because I can afford to pay my student loans, not only my student loans, the principal and interest, because some people, listeners, if you have student loans, I'm gonna need for you to take out your most recent statement. Most of us, we just do automatic payment. So we know the 1st or the 15th or whenever your student loans come out, it's automatically coming out of your checking account, but you may only be paying the interest. And so at the end of the year, you're looking at your balance and just like, how is my balance not going down? Well, actually, you're not paying enough to even touch the principal because your interest is so high. So you are in charge of your financial well-being, your financial knowledge. It's 2018. There is so much information out there on the website, on the internet, and it's up to you to know when you hit that point of where it's time for me to hire a professional, because I'm an expert in my field of what I do, but I'm not an expert in personal finances. So let me hire that person.
Yes, yes. All the knowledge. I think you bring up a really good point about that investment in yourself and the investment in understanding what it is that you want to do, where you're going, and where to head next. So let's go a little bit forward to what happened after that. You got the student loans, you got the degree, and what happened? Where'd you get your first job, and what did that look like? Did you make $1 million right out of college? Because of course you're college educated, so you're going to be rich, right?
No. So with me taking that course, it literally changed the trajectory of the rest of my college career, because I went up to the professor and I was like, listen, I need more of this. How can I learn more about this retirement plan and stuff, this estate plan and stuff, life insurance? And during this time, this is when my Nana started getting sick. And so I was going back home, sharing knowledge with her. And the professor told me, he was like, oh, well, Virginia Tech actually has a certified financial planner track where you take specific courses in each one of the disciplines. So investment planning, tax planning, risk management, education planning, employee benefits, the whole 9 yards. I was like, oh, sign me up. So literally next day changed my major.
What was your major before?
Math, just math. Because another piece of advice that was given to me when I did, how you can do go for the summer to visit the college. And I got an opportunity to meet with a couple of undergraduates while I was still a senior in high school. And they were saying that don't go into, at least Virginia Tech, don't go in undecided, because you kind of, not necessarily just Virginia Tech, I think these just anywhere, universal, is if you go in undecided, sometimes you just fall in between the cracks and you're not taking the classes to graduate. Yeah, you're taking maybe 5 classes per semester, but it's not enough to graduate in a specific discipline. Mm-hmm. All right, well, what's one thing I know I'm really great at? And it was math. I took AP Calc when I was in high school. I tutored my now husband when we were in high school. So he's my high school sweetheart. So we've been dating since then. So it's actually a funny story around that, because he actually knew what he was doing the entire time and he just wanted to get tutored by me. So, And Lauren, he didn't tell me until our engagement party that he knew what he was doing the entire time. So for years, I was bragging. I was like, yeah, I'm really great at math. I taught him, he was acing his exams. Little did I know.
He didn't need no help.
He didn't need no help. He's a whiz, the whiz. And now he's in technology, building stuff. And I was like, you got me. But it's all good. And I also told him, I was like, you messed up my first year of college, because I'm thinking I can make you into an A student. I can make anybody into an A student. Anyways, but I still do love math. But what I do with financial planning, and as you know, the myth around being a financial planner or a financial advisor is that it all deals with numbers. And while that's a part of it, it's mostly relationship building. The technical skills will come. Anyone can have technical skills, but not everyone can have that personality to build relationships and build trust with clients. And I think that's what makes someone like you special, and me too.
Hey, special people.
Special people. So I don't even know if I answered your original question. Oh, what did I do afterwards? There we go. See?
Right. She's a talker, y'all. Just in case you didn't pick up on that yet.
My bad. All right. Well, I found out the CFP track, it was an entire concentration. So in financial planning. And that's what I've been doing. I got an internship at a wealth management firm. And then I've been doing that ever since. So as soon as I graduated from college, I started at a RIA, or a registered investment advisory firm, which is a small boutique financial planning firm. It's not like the broker dealers, where it's those large financial institutions. These are small family offices where a large firm could be considered like 15 people, like 15 employees. So that's where I started off. I worked at one firm for about 5 years, and then transitioned into another firm for a little over a year. And then I felt again this thing where I couldn't truly be who God wanted me to be, as far as sharing all of what I wanted to give. It kind of felt like I was being held hostage to my title of financial advisor. But yeah, I'm a financial advisor, I'm a financial planner, but I'm more than that. There's more that I can give as far as just writing articles and being a voice for young financial planners. With the different leadership that I had in the profession, I just felt like I could be doing more, but was being held hostage to that title of, this is what we're paying you for. Why do you want to do that? And as you know, I have a track record of walking out. If I feel like something doesn't feel right, I go with that gut. And it was honestly God pushing me out. I literally got sick, physically sick, going into work. It wasn't a toxic environment.
Toxic?
It wasn't. It was great people, but it was God pushing me, saying, there's so much more that I have for you to do. And so I left, started my firm, Your Greatest Contribution, also known as YGC, and back in 2015. And I've been helping individuals and families on my own since then. Going back to your other question, as far as just like, how much did I earn? When I first graduated, I negotiated, but they had a firm hand. I stuck it out though, because I was like, this is a good firm. We do comprehensive financial planning where we go knee deep into everything. So we actually review tax returns, we review estate planning documents. So from an education standpoint, though I may not have been earning as much as my peers, I guarantee you they weren't learning as much as me. And so now, years later, with that education, I can literally do and probably work wherever I want to, because not everyone had that experience of true comprehensive financial planning. So I wasn't earning a lot. But after I passed my CFP exam, or the Certified Financial Planner exam, and for those who are looking for a financial planner, you want to make sure you're working with the CFP.
Hey.
Working with the CFP means they have the 4 E's. They have the education, which is you can either go through it from a undergraduate university program or a certificate program. They have the experience. So you have to have at least 3 years of experience of doing financial planning. They've passed the exam. When I took it back in my day, it was a 2-day, 10-hour exam. When Lauren took it, it was a 1 day, 6 hours, but it was still hard. ... It was still hard. The national pass rate is like 60%. So it's still hard. It doesn't matter if it was a 2-day or 1 day exam. And I think I would have preferred 1 day. At least you don't have anxiety for 2 days.
Right.
And then the last E is ethics. So we adhere to a standard of ethics, kind of like with working with the doctor. You don't want to work with a doctor that's not board certified. So when you're working with a financial planner, you want to work with one that is board certified. And so we have a board of governors that we have to adhere to and all that good stuff. Lauren, let me tell you, after I passed that exam, I got a big raise. And that's when I started out earning both my mom and dad. And it felt so weird because I was doing the same exact job I was doing the day before. And now I'm making a boat ton more of money. And it felt weird because now I'm the breadwinner of the family, not between me and my husband, but of my family. And it felt so weird. And it felt like a responsibility as far as, all right, it takes a village to raise a child. Various family members helped me out when I came back during the summer for colleges. I worked 2 jobs. I stayed with my aunt at her house. She let me live rent free. So I felt like anytime she needed something, I'll slip her a couple $100 here and there. She helped me out when I needed it. My mom, she needed some money. Of course, if my Nana ever needed anything, there was no question of me giving her money. And my uncle, who owed me my report card, was asking me for money. And I never imagined earning this much money. And now I have it. And it's so much discretionary income. But because I was very mindful of the debt I had when I first graduated, that's like true financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as I graduated, again, so I graduated, literally got married within that year, again, I was dating my high school sweetheart. He proposed to me while I was in college because Nana doesn't believe in shacking up. So
you don't want to disappoint Nana, right?
Old school. So we got engaged, then we got married. Now we're combining finances. What does this look like? And so it wasn't his or her money, it was our money. And I truly believe in that. So we had a joint account, 2 individual accounts, and all of the household expenses, any of our debts, we merged together. So he had a couple of credit cards, I had a couple of credit cards. And what we did was we took out a personal loan because the credit card interest rates were like 20%. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And this was debt that was built up because either it was food, and not unnecessary food. I needed groceries, or I needed new clothes, or just something. And then my computer had crashed when I was in college, and you need a laptop in college. And so it was just those miscellaneous expenses that kind of was building up in my undergraduate years, and kind of similar with him. So we just took out a personal loan, combined our debt. It went from 20% interest rate with the various credit cards to 8% personal loan. So we were like, all right, well, within 24 months, let's pay this off. Again, so within the first year, we got married. So we cash flowed, mind you, on my very small salary. And when I tell y'all I was making a very small salary, y'all, it was a very small salary.
Hey.
And we were living in Fairfax where rent was $1,600. And this was 10 years ago.
Jesus Lord.
Yes. $1,600 for rent.
Right.
Virginia. We were very mindful of how we spent. We wanted to make sure that we didn't take out any debt for our wedding. After our wedding, we wanted to make sure that, man, Reggie's so lucky he married a financial planner. Hey. I was so strategic back then.
Guys, go find you a CFP, right?
So, and the one thing I appreciate about my husband is that he was involved in the decisions, but he didn't necessarily have to be the executor, right? Because he put that trust in me. He was like, hey, well, this is what you do. So do it. I'm taking your lead on this. I take his lead on other things, but when it comes to money, I'm the expert in this. And so he kind of took my lead. Long and short of that, within 24 months, all of our debt was paid off. We still had student loan debt, but we were just, all right, that's fine. They'll be paid off when it get paid off. So when I got this bonus, not the bonus, when I got this huge raise, wow, now we can truly start saving. And then that's when we started investing, because now this discretionary money, another thing that I try to teach my clients is like, when you get these huge raises, you don't want your standard of living to increase with your raise each time. So what tends to happen is, you jump from $60,000 to $80,000. And now your lifestyle is called lifestyle creep. So all of your expenses somehow now mirrors your new salary. But just 2 weeks ago, you weren't earning that much.
And you were making it, right?
And you were making it. But now you're earning just a few, maybe $1,000 more a paycheck, or $500 more a paycheck. And all of a sudden your expenses are going, all right, let's talk about this. And so, but because we were very mindful to avoid lifestyle creep, we were able to invest. So we started investing. And with that, what was cool with that is I was able to teach my husband, all right, this is what compounding interest is. This is how we diversify our portfolio. And so he's getting that knowledge as well. So now fast forward, when I was ready to take that leap and become my own boss and transition from being an employee to entrepreneur, we had the finances. That's financial freedom. So financial freedom, it starts from such an early age of just understanding and being very mindful and intentional of how you spend your money, giving every dollar a job. And if you do have to take out debt, is this the type of debt that is going to give you a return on your investment? So putting debt, consumer debt, that credit card debt, is that going to give you a return on your investment? Or is that just a fleeting feel-good moment? Because those fleeting feel-good moments don't give you a return on your investment. But if you do need that college education, maybe you don't have a lot of money or don't want to take out student loans, there's nothing wrong. I know quite a few people from high school who went to a community college for 2 years, and then various schools in Virginia has this program where if you have a certain GPA, you can transfer into Virginia Tech, UVA, like various VCU. And so if anything, they were smarter than me because they didn't have as much student loans as me. They had maybe 2 years of student loans versus my 4 years, right? So there's so many different ways to navigate life, but you have to be very smart and intentional about it and don't make hasty decisions.
Yeah, I think it's really important to just be thinking about what's the strategy? What's the best strategy for me versus, oh, this is what everybody else is doing. This is what I'm going to do it. No research, no anything. That's where you end up regretting your decision. And you look back, oh God, I'm saddled with all this debt. Where did they come from? Versus going in eyes wide open. Okay, these are my 5 options. I'm picking this option. I know what I'm taking on by picking this option. Let's work. Yeah, I think education is so key in choosing what you want so that you can have this idea of financial freedom. Because what you just described, you said you were able to go off and start your own business. It didn't say you were able to retire and go buy a yacht and kick your feet up on the beach every day. And so sometimes that is what someone's definition of freedom is. But the freedom is really about being able to make a decision that's best for you in the moment and not be held back by your financial situation.
Yep. Just imagine if we didn't tackle that. So the first 2 to 3 years of not only marriage, but right out of college, it was intense from a sense of truly trusting each other when it came to money, being very open around the conversations of money. And I'm laughing because I'm thinking about, we moved literally almost every year because it was rent and rent kept going up. So it was like, all right, let's try to find just a cheaper place instead of staying at a place where they're increasing rent by $200-$300 a month. This is outrageous. And growing up, I didn't have much. So when we did buy stuff, I held on to it. And I remember some friends was helping us move and we had a microwave. So when we first graduated, our apartment didn't have a microwave. So we bought a really nice stainless steel microwave. When we moved to the next apartment, it had a microwave. And so my friend was, are you just going to give this to Goodwill? I was like, no, I'm going to keep it. And they were like, well, why? You have a microwave. I'm like, but I bought this microwave. And honestly, Lauren, it wasn't until a couple of years later where I had an honest conversation with Reggie. It wasn't necessarily from a hoarding perspective where I had a whole bunch of stuff, but I never had anything of my own. Mm-hmm. And so now that I'm an adult and actually able to afford stuff, I take really great care of it. And so for someone to not understand my upbringing and for them to just like, oh, you could just give that microwave to Goodwill. I'm like, that was a big purchase for me. I was so proud that I bought a stainless steel microwave. It sounds so kind of ridiculous thinking back to it, but I just felt so proud.
No, I think it's really cool to really take the time out to kind of marinate on what you've accomplished and be proud of it. And then also, like you said, take pride in it, because so frequently we toss things to the side and say, material possessions are not important to me.
Right.
And that does mean something to us from a value standpoint to say that and to really believe that in our hearts. But it wasn't really the material possession per se. It was the accomplishment of all the things that you've overcome to get to this point of being able to do this thing.
Right.
And sometimes the wires get crossed with that message, especially I think in the low income earning communities or the African American community, where we could take your microwave and turn it into a Lexus and it'd be something that you couldn't really afford. And you're like, oh, I finally have the income to support me buying this Lexus, but really it's forcing you into paycheck to paycheck living. And it being one of those things where you say, oh, I deserve this because I've reached this point, and I'm so happy I made it here, but then it takes you down the wrong road. I deserve this material possession. So I think what you just described was that kind of right mindset in having come from such a long way and being so really appreciative for what you were able to accomplish and not losing sight of what that meant to you.
Yeah.
Everybody shows their money behaviors and their money emotions in different ways. So I think that's a really cool thing. Like, I got my microwave. I'm holding on to it.
Yeah. Oh my God. And we had it out. I can remember this day like it was yesterday. I had it out with my friend. And he was just like, Ree, it's just a microwave. And I was just, you don't understand. You don't get it. And then Reggie just leave the microwave alone. Eventually, I made sure it went to a family. I made sure that that microwave went to a family that actually needed it. I didn't just dump it or send it to Goodwill because who knew who hands that would have got into. But there's so many people who are in need. And again, that was me.
Right.
8 years old, that was me. We, not knowing that we were in need, but there was always a family, there was always a church, there was always just someone there, the angels.
That kept stepping in and giving you the opportunity and the resources that you needed to.
Yeah. And I think that's why I'm such a giver, is because of that. And it's just now that I have, if I ever do give away, I'm going to make sure it goes to a family that need it. Something that we didn't talk about, and maybe this can be on another episode, is first generation college graduates. It doesn't matter if you're Black, Hispanic, white, but I think there's this stigma around first generation college graduates who do become the breadwinner of the family, who they feel like they have to, it's almost like a burden, like they have to take care of everybody. And again, I thank God that I'm a financial planner, because I was able to prioritize, you have to take care of you first before you take care of anybody else. And yeah, we can have a whole segment about that. You honestly have to take care of yourself first. If you fit that description of a first generation college graduate, you making really good money, you have that discretionary cash flow, you have family members setting you up all the time, create a family fund where you put $50, $75 every paycheck in that fund, in that account. So when Uncle Tony, Aunt Boo Boo come to you, when they come to you and they say, hey, can I get $50? Sure. Yep. And you just go to that account. You're not touching money that are associated with your goals, whether it's for today or in the future. You're going to that account. You say, oh, yep, here you go. Oh, someone else. Hey, can you help me pay my cell phone bill? It's $100. Yep, sure. Here you go. Hey, can you help me? Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, what do you mean no? Like, I don't have it. Yes, you do. You're the lawyer of the family. You're the doctor of the family. No, I really don't have it, because you look into that account and it's zero. So if you start taking money out of your account, you're actually taking away from your financial security. And so that's something else that I also teach to my clients. That's something I had to teach to myself. And so when I'm actually talking through this with clients, I can sympathize and empathize with them, because I went through this. I understand what you're going through, but you can get through it. You are my first priority.
So Rianka, you just dropped so many nuggets on us. And I tried to tell you guys, she was a talker. She's already said that she's willing to come back for an episode 2. And I think it's a perfect thing to do, to have another financial planner on, because I don't like to preach to my audience, but you did a really good job of dropping those nuggets by telling your story. So
thank you.
We're going to wrap real quick with our final sprint, and we're just going to ask 3 rapid fire questions, and then we'll have you back on the show soon.
Okay.
All right. First question. Why pay a financial planner?
Why pay a doctor?
Ooh.
So you pay a financial planner because they're the expert in their field. We live, eat, and breathe this stuff. So when you're looking at your financial situation, you're only looking at it from your knowledge level and from your lens. Whereas for us, we're looking at your financial situation as you as an individual, but then also with us working with multiple, maybe even hundreds of various clients, we can be able to provide some knowledge and expertise and some advice to your situation.
That is perfect advice. Okay. Best money habit.
Pay yourself first.
What is your worst money habit?
Oh, do I have a worst money habit?
Come on now. Even a financial planner isn't perfect.
Worst money habit. I don't know. I have intention around everything that I spent. Maybe I go to Dunkin' Donuts and I get iced coffee more often than I should, but it's in my budget, so I can afford it.
Okay. And last but not least, can you share with us one thing that you would like to improve about your personal finances in the upcoming year?
I want to save more to my retirement. So shifting as becoming a business owner, that kind of went out the way when you have to start paying people and building a business and all that other stuff. So I want to start putting more to my retirement. I'm still saving, but I want to put more.
So what's the action item to actually make that happen?
Get more clients. No, I'm joking.
Careful what you ask for.
I know. Just making it happen. Looking at my budget. I have a budget with my business and seeing, are there any expenses that can just be cut and be saved?
Gotcha. All right, Rianka, shout yourself out. Tell people where they can find you, how they can support you. And we look forward to having you on the show again to tell us more.
Yeah, so you can follow me. I'm on social media, Rianka, RIANKA_D. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. You can follow my business page, riankadorsainvil.com. And also my firm is yourgreatestcontribution.com.
All right, girl. Riri, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Lauren.
Look forward to having you back.
Thank you. Bye, girl.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Rianka's money memoir. I know we were a bit rushed at the end, but we can certainly have Rianka back for round 2. If you'd like to hear from Rianka before then, check out our podcast, 2050 Trailblazers, where she addresses the lack of diversity and inclusion in the financial services industry. Now, on to some thoughts I had about the show. I think some people would advise to just say no when it comes to lending family members money, but some cultures take a lot of pride in being able to help. I love the system that Rianka shared that allows her to help her family out without derailing her own financial goals. By creating a family account, you can assist when funds are in the account and politely explain that you can't help right now when they aren't. My favorite saying is, put your oxygen mask on first. You won't be able to help others if you don't first help yourself. Our word of the day today, rain check. A rain check is a promise or commitment from a seller to a buyer that an item currently out of stock can be purchased at a later date for the current day's sales price. The term originated in baseball in the 1800s. Spectators who attended games that were postponed or canceled because of the weather could receive a check to attend a future game. So you're wondering, Lauren, why did you come up with this word and why is it the word of the day? Well, when your family account gets empty, you might need to ask for a rain check. You just need to simply say, I don't have it right now, but you can get it when I do. It's really important, once again, that you don't derail your own financial situation in order to be able to help someone else out. So just ask for a rain check. All right. Well, thank you for listening today. I hope you found this episode worth listening to. If you have financial questions, suggestions for guests, or would like to share your own money memoir, please contact us through our website, worth-listening.com. We did 2 goofballs together, so.
Very much so.
Oh, wait. Look, I'm talking into the microphone, but it can't be working because I can see you.
Oh my gosh, we should have done a mic check.
Oh my goodness.
That should be in like the outtakes or something.
Right.
What?
We don't eat bread no more. We're too bougie for that right now.
I'm laid off on
We're trying to get our life right.
But back then in high school, those garlic knots, I would go to work just for the garlic knots. Okay, back to the story.